Hey guys, Matt in the Hat, how are ya? Happy New Year. I know it's been a while since I have seen you guys, but yeah, I'm super excited to be back. Hello to everybody who is just joining. Hello Linz, hello Yoo-Hoo, hello Bone Broth Grandma Maria. Hi, nice to see you. Yeah, so we'll just wait for my friends, Dr. Oh, they're here. Amazing. So we're just gonna wait for this to get started. We'll get some more people going on here. Hello, Pinoy Cooking Mama. Yeah, amazing. Fantastic. Okay. All right, hello to everybody who is just joining us. All right, I have them here, you guys. So today's live is with my friends, Dr. Christian and Jennifer Brix. They are in Kelowna, BC, and we're gonna learn all things about their product here, Bone Broth. I'm currently on their 21-day challenge, which I'm super excited about, and we're gonna learn about all things about bone broth and collagen and all the benefits from two fun people. So let's get going here, you guys. All right. So hello to everyone who's joining right now, and welcome. Happy New Year. Hey, how are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
Awesome.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I have my broth here, and yeah, I'm just enjoying my Sunday.
I think of all your hats, that might be my favorite.
Right? I
Yeah.
got a nice little surprise in the mail. Wasn't expecting it, and then all of a sudden there was a bright red, beautiful red hat. So I love it. It's actually my favorite snapback, I think. Just the quality of it. I mean, the color is amazing.
Love it.
So yeah, I love it, you guys. And Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Same. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to that.
Yeah, we're drinking broth. Which one are you drinking right now?
I'm having the beef right now.
Okay. We're doing this one.
Oh, the chicken, yeah.
Okay.
They're both really, really good. And I noticed a lot more of the spices and like maybe the vegetables in the beef broth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
It's funny because the beef broth generally is pretty hard to make taste good. It's challenging. I'm sure you know. So our chef she did a really cool, kind of made it spicy and lots of depth to it. And some
yes.
people, it's a little aggressive, but we love it.
No, I love it too. It definitely enhances the flavor of the beef. Like you can definitely, it tastes like beef first and foremost. But then I think the spices just help define those flavors a lot more. You don't get that minerality that you do sometimes with beef.
Yeah.
When I'm sure with you guys, when you cook it down, you get so much of those minerals that come out. So yeah, that's why I really like it. So before we get really too far ahead, everybody, this is my first guest of the year. Welcome, Doctors Brix, Dr. Christian Brix, Dr. Jennifer Brix. Welcome. For my guests, I guess you don't know who you are, maybe if you could kindly introduce yourselves and yeah.
Sure. Okay, so I'm Christian Brix. I'm a chiropractor here in Kelowna. We have a really beautiful wellness center here. We've been in this location for about 12 years. I'm also the co-founder of BONED, a broth company, which we started about 5 years ago. I would say 5 years of bone broth and 18 years of chiropractic has shown that I'm really passionate about health in my community, and it's such a great connection between my practice and what I see with my patients every day, and then creating a food product that sort of complements that so well. So I've been pretty lucky over the years to sort of live in this world, and got a lot more plans in the future too. And I'm lucky that I get to practice with my wife. So you probably introduce yourself.
And I'm Jen, and I'm a naturopathic doctor in Kelowna, of course, working at Brix Wellness as well. And I've been practicing for just over a decade, and really love treating patients. I see a whole host of different illnesses, but of course, really hone in on digestive health and hormone health, as well as brain health and post-concussion syndrome. So I find that working with bone broth and my love for creativity and cooking has really helped kind of meld everything together. And I'm super stoked to be, a nutritional consultant on the board for bone broth, and yeah, it's just exciting.
That's amazing. And I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I'm definitely a person who has gone through a really bad concussion. I was in a car accident. So definitely, I think what you both have said, like your paths are definitely something in alignment with mine. Um, uh, like in terms of wellness, I think, so I was in a car accident probably over 4 years ago now. So concussion, brain health was a really big thing for me even before my concussion. So I've always been interested in like neuroplasticity and neuroscience. But when I was in my car accident, I think that's when my health became more of a priority, and I took it more seriously because I kind of had to. Yeah, that's why I'm happy we're having this conversation right now, because there's clearly a lot that I need to learn about collagen. So I guess for people that don't know what bone broth is, what is the difference between a regular broth and bone broth?
Yeah, good question. So it's kind of funny because if you look at the actual technical definitions of what broth versus stock is, you'll kind of get different stories from different sources. Technically, from what I understand, what we're doing is a stock, right? However, bone broth has become sort of the term that most people are familiar with. And basically what we do with bone broth is we simmer really high quality bones, so generally organic, like the best of the best, non-conventional bones, for an extended period of time under conditions of acidity and things like that, in an effort to sort of draw out all the nutrients from the bones. So that can be done in a lot of different ways, but that's essentially what we're doing. It's not like a flavoring stock that's essentially, well, I hate to say it, but a lot of the ones on the shelves, it's more of like a salty flavoring
Yeah,
beef
it's
flavor, right?
just salt. Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is really all about drawing nutrients out of bones in an effort to use them for, obviously for cooking, but also for the health benefits. And it's literally, glucosamine, chondroitin sulfate, amino acids, collagen, all these things that you, of course, would never get just in sort of a regular flavoring stock. So, yeah.
And so, like, what are the benefits of collagen? Because I know that's the main sort of, I guess that's the main benefit or the main hype right now around bone broth is the collagen benefits. So I guess as a high overview on the benefits of collagen, why should I be drinking it? Why do I love drinking it? And why is it a part of my,
Yeah.
part of my day to day?
Well, I'll start because there's no such thing as high overview for Jen, because Jen is like she's the super nerdy, like detail.
I love it.
It's awesome. She's the looks and the brains. I'm not sure. I'm the hype man. So to be honest, like collagen essentially just makes up almost every tissue in your body, from your bones, muscles, tendons, ligaments, all your vessels, things like that. And so collagen is essentially creates the elasticity or youthfulness in all of those tissues. Basically, as we get older, collagen breaks down. That's called aging. It's perfectly normal. And it's actually said, I think it's starting at about the age of 21, our collagen production decreases by 1% per year. So literally starting at 21, you're essentially aging. And so the other thing, you can also accelerate that process. You can accelerate the breakdown of collagen with, actually the research shows like high levels of stress, smokers, and then for some reason, well, I'm sure Jen knows, high sugar diets. But smoking is a big one. That's why we see smokers have wrinkly skin and hardening of the arteries and bone density issues and all those things. That's literally all just collagen breakdown. But I'm sure you know more than I do.
Yeah. Well, I'll add to that, but yeah, I think like it's becoming really popular because of its benefits for skin. And as you said, of course, with smokers, you can kind of see that. But collagen is like the scaffold. So just to get a little bit nerdy, but the scaffold is what holds stuff together, right? So skin is the biggest connective tissue in the body. And that's, you want the elasticity and you want that basically hydration. And if you don't have the collagen scaffold, then you can't get things like elastin to bind or hyaluronic acid in the bones, where it's incredibly important. Bone is actually like 40% collagen. We think of bones as being that super hard tissue, made of calcium, but most of it is actually a protein, and most of that protein is collagen. Without that scaffold, you can't have the calcium binding, so then you don't get that density of a bone. So protein is really important as we age, and collagen is the most important one to consider for bone health because of that. So I think, we're seeing it becoming really popular because of the skin benefits, there's research even showing that collagen can benefit and reduce cellulite, which, there's not a lot of things out there that do much for that. So
No.
you're seeing that kind of attention, but it's really important for bone health, arterial function, blood vessel health, joints, and of course the gut, which is sort of what we're talking about with our 21-day Kickstart program.
That's right. So I guess like in terms of like blood health and cardiovascular health, can you just tell us like what does it do for our blood vessels that are does it just help support, I guess, does it help support the tissue mainly?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's well, when you think of the arteries, so it's not so much the veins, but the arteries. And the arteries are a little bit more important because that's where calcification can occur. Hardening of the arteries leads to things like, chest pain and heart attack, cardiovascular disease, obviously, right? So
Mhm.
that elasticity is from the elastin and other components. But again, you need the collagen to be there for that to bind. So the collagen within the arteries is what keeps them more supple and more have that ability to sort of flex. And so that's why we see actually studies have shown that people with deeper wrinkles have an increased risk of cardiovascular disease because you're seeing the collagen deposition lacking in the skin, which can infer that we're actually also missing it or losing it in our arteries at a faster rate.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
See, I told you.
yeah, that's like just like that's I've actually so I've been consuming collagen in many forms over the last 3 years, and that's mainly because I mainly sought it out because it was a protein that I've never consumed like in high doses before, but at that point in my car accident, I was looking for a protein to help me build back my muscles and my strength. So I guess in terms of if I'm like a guy who's just trying to work out and build muscle, would collagen be beneficial for that as well?
Yes. So there's, like you said, there's many different types of protein, many different types of collagen. It's essentially all the idea is that protein, or for example, muscles are made out of amino acids. So amino acids come together to become protein, and that's essentially what helps us build. So there's many different forms. The reason we like collagen as opposed to, and you can probably speak more to this than the others, is that the amino acids come together to make collagen. It has effects on many different parts of your body as opposed to say just in your muscles. Would you say that's accurate?
Yep. And I'd say, for working out, I mean, I would complement that with other things that are more specific to muscle building to encourage that collagen, because your body has a really good way of kind of dictating where that collagen will go. And hopefully it's going to, go to the most important parts first, like potentially the arteries and the bones, which of course all support muscle health because you need that bone structure, that skeleton to keep that muscle healthy. So it's great for people that are working out, and I would just probably add things to that potentially, like extra glutamine or certain aminos that might be more specific to muscle building.
Wow. Okay, cool. So there's a lot, obviously, clearly a lot of benefits with collagen for very many reasons. So one thing that I've learned probably like a couple of years ago was this thing called the microbiome and gut health. And I did not know how important my gut health was until I started having problems with my gut health because I was taking so much medication. So one thing that I've been doing over the years to, gain back, I guess, my strength and as well as a part of my recovery was to be more mindful of that. So I'm really happy to know that bone broth is a great addition to my gut health. And maybe you can tell us more about the benefits of bone broth to your gut.
Yeah. Okay, so I gotta say something. So before I met Jen, I was, practicing for many years, and I knew that the gut biome was important and all that. We learned that in school. I went to school a long time ago. I had no idea until I started attending Jen's lectures when I was trying to date her, like how important it is. It blew me away. The one thing that stood out the most that Jen said in a lecture one time is that of all the cells that make us up, there's trillions of cells. There are 10 times more gut flora or bacterial cells in your digestive system than are in your entire body. So what you see in front of you right here is 10% human cells and 90% bacteria in my gut, which blew me away. And Jen won't say it, but she is like an expert in this stuff, so I'm going to shut up.
The numbers are right. So yeah. So essentially, we're made up of way more foreign DNA and entities than we are of our own body, and so that kind of puts things into perspective why the gut is so important. And I always teach my patients that the foundation of your entire body really rests on your gut health. So I don't really want to waste time, recommending supplements or herbs or certain foods if the person's not going to absorb their nutrients, right? If the gut is not healthy, then you're wasting a lot of that. You really have to heal that, and I think it's pivotal for things like immune health and mood, energy levels, of course. The list goes on, and there's research coming out literally every day on the importance of the microbiome and how good food can nurture that. So not just like literally healing our gut, but just nurturing that microbiome we're so dependent on.
That's right. And I think one thing for me that helped me, because I guess before I was taking my gut health before I was more serious with my gut health, I was eating anything, definitely eating much more sugar than I am now. But one thing that helped me was just adding in more things that would be helpful in my gut health, like more vegetables was a big thing for me. I am now like happily predominantly plant-based, which has been a happy transition for me. But also things like bone broth and kombucha, so fermented things, so like kimchi. I've aided with that. So I guess like we've talked about like how. So I guess what is the importance of our gut health in terms of just you said mood, you said energy. Can you just maybe, since there are so much going on in our gut, I guess how does that relate to our overall health? How does I guess that makes sense with that the absorption. So how do you heal our gut? How does bone broth heal our gut? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Can I take this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like to also educate people on the fact that our gut is only one cell layer thick. So it's, if you can imagine yourself as like a toilet paper roll or, a paper towel roll, and you've got all these layers on the outside, that's your skin. We've got 13 layers of skin. So we are pretty protected when it comes to things getting in this way. But on the inside, which if we are like just a complete tube, the inside accessing to our actual insides, like into our bloodstream, is only one cell layer thick. So it's very easy to compromise that barrier. We don't necessarily feel it. We can't see it. We don't have a lot of actual pain receptors in there to notify us if we've got a little bit of leakiness, right? And so when we have if we're eating inflammatory foods or lots of sugar, or if you've been on lots of antibiotics, or if you've had medications that can affect the integrity of the gut, you're going to get a little bit of that leakiness. And that's where we look at how healing the gut can affect systemic situations. In other words, if you can seal and heal that gut, you're going to prevent things from getting into your bloodstream, which can cause immune activation, which can lead to so many different things. Once your immune system is activated because it believes there are foreign entities entering the bloodstream, those complexes can actually go and cross the blood-brain barrier and create things like anxiety and depression. We see people with lots of joint pain or headaches. See a lot of skin stuff like eczema coming up.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the list goes on and on, right? So as soon as you kind of compromise that barrier, you're allowing the insults that you're putting into your body to access all of the rest of your tissues and organs. So I don't know if I could answer that question, but that's why healing the gut with things like collagen-rich foods, which contain amino acids like glutamine and proline, can really actually support the rest of the body quite dramatically.
So let's just say I've been neglecting my gut and my gut health for my whole life predominantly, because I had no idea about it. How long would that process take on average per human to start that journey? I guess my journey was more, instead of taking it out, going hard on just worrying about my gut. I just added more things in, and eventually I was just generally more aware of things that would make me feel better. So I guess, like, how long would that process be of healing if I didn't think about my gut health until now?
Yeah. Well, there's obviously a lot of factors involved, but generally it can take about 6 weeks to heal that tissue up. So 6 weeks is a good gauge. We also look at, you want to eliminate the triggers that are creating those problems. So again, if it is a food that you're consuming, or behavioral or other lifestyle factors, if you do have an imbalance of good to bad bacteria, if you've had antibiotics in the past. I mean, I was born C-section, which kind of like puts me further back because I didn't get sort of that first inoculation of good bacteria like I was supposed to. So, those sorts of things can lead to issues later on in life and can make that process take a little bit longer. But generally about 6 weeks of gut healing along with like avoiding those triggers or more insults.
Amazing. And I think, okay, one thing that I really want to know, so let's just say, like, I've focused on my gut health. What are the benefits? Like, how am I feeling if my gut health is healthy? What are the benefits I'm enjoying? So what is what are the benefits of, like, how does someone feel on good gut
Yeah.
health?
I can speak to that because I like I said, I didn't really know a ton about this until I met Jen, and she, once we got married, that was it. My diet was now going to be the diet of a husband of a naturopath physician, right? To be honest, I had no idea how connected the gut is to your entire body, every function. And so in my experience, we did sort of something similar where we essentially doing two things. You're repairing the gut while also stopping the things that damage or irritate the gut, right? So some of the inflammatory foods, dairy, gluten, alcohol, caffeine. Granted, we don't eliminate things completely, but really minimizing the damaging foods, and at the same time, taking the things or eating in a way that will repair it. So what I found for myself, and this is of course supported by what a lot of people are seeing in research, was literally it affected my energy levels, my brain, just more like better sleep, like more awake, more energy. And then, of course, gut-wise, like just better function overall.
Bowel movements were better.
Yes. So naturopaths will talk about bowel movements, just so you know, all the time.
Yep.
So,
Amazing.
so yes, very good there. And then also just musculoskeletally, which is kind of my world as a chiropractor. Less soreness and stiffness. Joints will heal and repair so much more quickly. When you start to reestablish some of the elasticity in your muscles, you're less tense, less, especially after activity, right? A lot of patients or trauma, right? Like, Matt, you had that car accident. Who knows how much faster things might have gone had someone just like grabbed you and said, do this, right? Let's get your gut completely healed. So not only, again, musculoskeletal and energy brain-wise, I think Jen can write an entire book on the connection between the gut and the brain.
Please.
Yeah, literally. I think that's in the works. But then also, gut, muscles, and that stuff, but also just immunity in general, right? So I'm actually just doing this continue ed right now, and they talk about how the biggest organ in your immune system is actually your digestive system. So there's more immunity coming from your digestive tract than anywhere else in your body. So I mean, you can really, it affects your entire life. It sounds cheesy because it's like one of those infomercials. I feel great. I had never felt better than when I did that, after I did that 21-day challenge, and then also some of the other things that we've been doing. I've never felt better in my life. It's ridiculous. And then the last thing I'll say is we went to this long lecture about probiotics, and so essentially talked about gut health in general. And having a proper gut flora, when they did that with athletes, they showed like significantly increased performance in sport and activity, which kind of blew me away. And some of these like elite, like Olympic athletes are actually trying to tap into this, and they're taking probiotics and bone broth and all these things to really foster the gut. So it's honestly shocking when you read about it.
I love this, and this is just it's just becoming really like a topic that's blowing up over the last couple of years. But I mean, you guys have dedicated over 10 years to this type of. Sorry, Dr. Jen, you've dedicated so much to this already. So, I guess you've talked about the 21-day fix, and I've started this diet, and people wouldn't really realize, like, okay, you're thinking gut health, and now I'm thinking I'm just drinking broth for 21 days. What are the benefits of fasting? And am I like, what's my gut going through during this 21-day fix?
Yeah. Well, fasting in general practically would be like eliminating all food and beverage except for water for a period of time. Usually people do that for like therapeutic or religious reasons. With the 21-day Kickstart program, it's kind of a blend of fasting to a certain extent. So you can piggyback on intermittent fasting. We kind of talk a little bit about that. A lot of people are doing that because fasting, whether intermittent or more strictly, will actually give the body a bit of a break and save that energy for the more vital organs. So in a way, create a bit of a cleansing situation without like really, pushing on the liver too much. So it's a really safe way to kind of to get your body feeling a little bit better, working more like a well-oiled machine. And fasting can encourage that ketone production, right? Which a lot of us talk about with the ketogenic diet and that sort of stuff. When you're fasting and you're not incorporating a lot of glucose, your body naturally will use your fat or adipose stores for energy, which produces a lot more energy than using glucose. So your body starts to get into that routine of utilizing what you have stored and being more efficient with that energy production. So fasting is a great way to kind of get your body kind of more optimally functioning. And then when you incorporate what we do with our 21-day Kickstart program, is more a we call it a 5 to 2 sort of for the week. So 5 days of a certain type of eating and then 2 days of another, which I'd love to get into if you want to.
Yes,
get
absolutely.
That right now.
Absolutely.
So the 5 days, there's 4 main points to it. So the first is that you're going to focus on 5 of those days of the week where you're going to have a cup of bone broth, right? So you're going to have a cup of bone broth, and you're also going to eat really clean foods. So I mean, again, we could spend hours on what that means, but essentially eating less of those inflammatory foods that we kind of mentioned. And then you can, as I mentioned, do like intermittent fasting on that, which typically is like a 16 and 8 type window. So you're eating for 8 hours of the day, or within 8 hours of the day, and then you're not for 16. And then 2 of the days of the week, you're actually going to consume 2 cups of bone broth. And we're going to reduce your calories to about 25% of your normal needs. So that's typically around 500 for women or 600 for men. And you don't want to do those 2 days together, so you want to break them up with at least one of the other 5 days in between. Right? So you're going to maybe do 3 days and 1 and then 2 and another one of that sort of reduced caloric intake. Then you're also going to want to make sure that, again, you're having clean foods at that time, drinking lots of water, and just making sure that you're patient with it, because it does take 21 days to create a habit, which is the entirety of the program, but it allows your body to really kind of tap into that ketosis process and just feel better and work more efficiently.
Amazing. I'm so excited. I've never tried anything like this, and I think especially with this year, like I'm just totally I'm totally going to be owning my health this year. So this is an amazing way to kickstart the year. 21 days.
Honestly, when I tried this, like I said a while ago, and I've done it again since, and so it seems a little like when you can go on the website, of course, and get the details of it if people are interested. But essentially, what I did was I did those 5 days where I just had bone broth in the morning. And then I would fast for a little bit throughout the day, or sorry, I shouldn't say fast for a little bit, but I wouldn't eat, and then I would just eat clean for the rest of the day. So just eat, like anti-inflammatory foods, eat super clean. And then those 2 days, that was the big challenge, because it's essentially 2 cups of bone broth. And then for me, it was 600 calories, and it was all about trying to figure out how I could, maximize the 600 calories, because that was really tricky. That's not a ton of food. So you obviously have to eat clean, and I've got some good tips if people are ever interested in that, on how to go through that and get through it. But honestly, at the end of those 21 days, because you can do anything for 21 days, it's a little bit of a sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
But it was 100% worth it. It's just like it's like a reset for your gut, And I just felt fantastic. I had some bad days for sure, when you're feeling super hungry, but it was 100% worth it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a whole book coming, but I do want to touch on as well, like how will this benefit my brain after this? Like, what does this fasting and the 21-day Kickstart, does that have any brain benefits as well, not just gut benefits? I know, well, we know that there are gut and brain links and the benefits of that, but is there going to be benefits after the 21-day fix that I can notice for my brain as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's your
Yeah.
world.
Well, there's obviously, we talked about the gut-brain axis, right? So there is a direct connection. Physically, there's a nervous system that connects the two together. But we also found that a lot of our bacteria living at the healthy bacteria release and help produce a lot of the chemicals that make up the neurotransmitters in the brain. So again, when you kind of eliminate that immune activation, inflammatory burden on the body by healing your gut, but also eating clean foods like fermented foods and incorporating things that are going to support your bacterial growth, like a lot of fiber and prebiotics, that's going to create a very healthy colony in your body. So you're going to have bacteria that are living more harmoniously with yourself, and also promoting the production of different chemicals that will affect the way you feel emotionally and mentally. So everything from, mood in general to cognition and focus. The word serotonin, I like to get into this, but serotonin, a lot of us know is that happy molecule, right? That's what helps us feel well, and a lot of antidepressants work on increasing the level of serotonin in our brain. But serotonin actually came from it was named because sero means serous, which is a serous layer, which is actually a layer in our gut, and tonin means to tonify or to strengthen. So serotonin was actually discovered in the gut because close to 90% of the serotonin that we make, which is made also by our bacteria, 90% is actually made and used by the digestive tract. Very little is actually accessed in the brain. So if you can support your gut and support the production of serotonin, then you can, of course, help to support the levels in the rest of your body, including your brain. And that goes to most of the neurotransmitters that we have in our system, and of course, nutrient absorption in general, absorption of things that we need, vitamins and minerals, which also make up the components of those neurotransmitters, and also good fats, right, which make up more the structure of our brain tissue.
So then even so clinically, even then, I guess if you think about that, like people that say are on SSRIs for depression, for example, right? That's literally addressing serotonin or allowing it to remain in your brain a little bit longer, so that people will, reduce the symptoms of anxiety or depression or things like that. So this is literally trying to create the same scenario, but doing it naturally and properly, just supporting the way your body's supposed to function. So clinically, like in our practice, it's depression, anxiety, PTSD, even fogginess, or or even repair, right? So in the brain, so post-concussive syndrome, for example, or things like that. These are all things that can literally be affected, like very significantly, from repairing and healing the gut.
Wow, that is so cool. Like I'm learning so much right now, and there's a lot to digest here, literally. So I guess can we talk about more about like the brain and let's just say, because I've gone through this personally. So post-concussive syndrome and bone broth and collagen. I still do have like some lingering issues with it, like in terms of like fogginess, sensitivity, definitely a certain amount of tolerance that I can handle during the day. So I guess if I were to continue to if I continue on with like my gut health journey, would that just help me again with my brain overall, I guess, in theory?
Yes. Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah. Bone broth and collagen is going to indirectly support brain health by supporting the gut and the connective tissues and the arteries and the blood vessels in the brain, right? So it's not like bone broth is necessarily touted as a nootropic, which is something that is directly supporting for the brain. But because the gut is so foundational, as well as that connective tissue, it's something that I think it's beneficial to be taken as like a food or as a functional food on a regular basis, just as kind of part of your daily routine.
More like not even just like maintenance, more just like it is maintenance in a way, like
Yeah.
and also like supplemental, just to make sure that you're, I guess, like there's obviously a lot of things that go in with the brain recovery, but I guess if you have that maintenance and that support with your gut and your diet, I guess that'll just help me heal even more this year.
Yeah, and if you love to cook like you do, or like myself, that I mean, it's a great way to put it into your food, right? So it's not like it can take, you can separate it from it being like a supplement or something that you have to take, but if you can incorporate it into that creativity, I think that's even more important as well.
Amazing. Okay, so about cooking as well, I have a lot of questions. Can you overcook bone broth?
Yes, you can. So here's the thing. You'll get different stories from many different manufacturers and ways of doing it. The reality is that the longer you simmer bones for, the more concentrated it will become. So you can take bone broth right down to like a bouillon base, right? Or you can take it down to like a super gelatinous, just like thick, sludgy brick, right?
Yeah.
The challenge is that there's sort of a balance between having something that's practical and that you can drink and use, and also going so far down that line that you destroy many of the other nutrients that are in it, right? So a lot of people think the goal is to get this crazy gelatinous broth, which is still good as far as the gelatin goes, but there's many other components, like I mentioned, glucosamine and chondroitin sulfate and some of the specific amino acids and protein that will become denatured when you do it for too long, right? So the idea is you want to kind of find a balance. You don't want it to be too sludgy, but you also don't want there to be, no collagen or gelatin in it. So that's kind of always what we're working with respect to balance. The other thing is there's some research that talks about, oh my God, I'm trying, when you cook it for too long, from MSG. Oh my God. I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, that's all right.
No, it's good. So what's an MSG?
Monosodium glutamate?
Oh, darn it! Well, too long. This is produced in higher levels when you microwave something with MSG in it. It's it'll come back to me. But anyway, so there's an opportunity for it to become unhealthy, and so they actually talk about if you cook your broth for too long, it's actually not necessarily great to give it to children because it's been shown to be a challenge for the nervous system in children. So again, not to get too dramatic about it, but there really is a balance about keeping it sort of in again, like I said, not too sludgy, but not too liquidy.
Guys, I'm not sure what you're trying to. But of course, processing it when you cook something, even though cooking is a more natural process, the longer you do it, it becomes more processed per se, right? You're kind of just denaturing and damaging things and converting them. I wouldn't go as far as carcinogenic, but
glutamic acid.
Glutamic acid.
Yeah.
Glutamic acid.
Glutamic acid.
Yeah. So what is glutamic acid if you cook like bone broth or broth for too long? Like what does that do? Like what are the dangers of that? Or not dangers, I guess, but
do you know a bit more about
Well, yeah, I would say glutamate specifically. So with the conversion into glutamate is and can be excitatory in the brain. So there are some conditions that can be affected by that, or it can increase if you do consume a lot of glutamate from MSG or even processed foods, right? You're going to get that excitation happening in the brain. So that can lead to all sorts of different conditions or, predispositions and things like that. So I think that's really
cool. And that's why I thought it was ironic, right? Like if you simmer your bone broth for way too long, you're raising glutamate. So you're trying to do something that's natural and healthy, and you're producing essentially the same stuff as MSG, right? So it just seemed a little bit counterintuitive to do something natural and healthy and get that.
Yeah. That's actually a really neat thing as well, because like it's kind of like the same kind of. That's why my approach to health, like you could overdo something, and there's just the right amount of the sweet spot, right? And that's just really cool. It's the same with bone broth. There's just like that sweet spot of like when it's like the most beneficial for you. So there is a lot of anti-inflammatory foods out there. I guess what are some of your benefits when you guys were doing your 21-day Kickstart?
Oh man, so that's a good question. So, well, I mean, the list of anti-inflammatory foods. I don't know, like I don't know, maybe say that in a different way.
Because what are some of some of your favorite things that you ate when you were on the 21 day?
Oh, that's a good question. So I'm gonna give you my secret right now. My secret when I did it was
Okay.
celery. So
Ooh.
celery, I know. So the idea is you want to feel as full as you can throughout. Like on my 600 calorie day, it was like a nightmare for me because I like to eat. So celery was a great way to take up space in my stomach for very low
Okay.
calories, right?
Good
So
to know.
yeah, drinking tons of water, and then celery was sort of my secret. But as far as like your anti-inflammatory foods, what do you think?
Well, we went a little further. We actually tested ourselves for the foods that were inflammatory to us. So you can
Oh,
you
I
can do
love that.
blood tests, which will show, tests anywhere from 125 to 300 foods, and basically indicate the degree of inflammation and immune activation that these foods are causing in your blood, right? So it's a blood test, so you're able to kind of determine how much your immune system is creating an antibody against these foods when it shouldn't really be, your body shouldn't be attacking these common foods, right? So
No.
the typical culprits came up for us. I can't remember exactly for both, but I know obviously casein, which is a component of dairy, was one. Gluten was more so, I think, for you
Yeah,
than myself. He also had corn and
rice.
rice. So that eliminated a lot of grains for him.
Yeah.
He didn't have a lot of options besides buckwheat and quinoa.
Yum.
I had
Yeah.
mustard come up, and
Oh.
because I love mustard and I make a lot of salad dressings and things. So basically, we eliminated those foods for a period of time, and then we incorporated what we could. But the anti-inflammatory foods that we focus on, lots of really healthy fats like coconut and avocado,
Yeah.
anything that's the color of the rainbow, right? Sometimes nightshades can be a little bit inflammatory for people. Nightshade foods are like your bell peppers, tomatoes, potatoes, eggplant. So we kind of kept those to a minimum, but the other polyphenol rich like berries and things like that. Doing more of that, the color of the rainbow, and lots of good fiber and more fresh wild fish and things like that to give us those omega-3s too.
Amazing.
I do have to say, Matt, sorry to interrupt. I do think it's something that people should consider wherever they live. Like if you do have a naturopathic physician, it is so interesting to get your food sensitivity testing done because you can really see what foods create an immune reaction in your body, and it's kind of surprising when you see it. And then when you start to eliminate those things and the antibodies go away, or reduce at least, it's actually pretty amazing how good you can feel. It's amazing.
Oh, I'm excited. We've learned a lot so far today. So in terms of there are different kinds of collagen out there, like we said before, and there's different types of bone broth. And I wanted to get into this because I've seen bone broth where they come as a powder,
Yeah.
and I've seen in bone broth, like yours, where they're in the freezer. So I guess what are the difference between the types of broth that you can consume?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I will say, like, powders it's a processed product, right? So there is some processing involved, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Generally, powders and things like that would be more of a convenience factor, right? Ultimately, when we built the company, we started, I didn't get a chance to tell you about our chef, Grandma Maria. It's a pretty funny story how we started. We could talk about that after, but Maria, she's this adorable little old lady that I love, and she created these recipes from her old 200-year-old Slovakian recipes.
Oh
And,
my god.
so she created this bone broth, and what we really wanted to push, and we did Dragon's Den and a bunch of other fun stuff. We always pushed how it's real food, free of preservatives, just real food. And so when you make a bone broth like ours, the reason why ours I think is one of the best ones out there is, yes, it's organic, which of course is great. But we use a blast or a flash freezer. So the broth is made, it's packaged, and it's flash frozen. And what that does is it really preserves the nutrition, the flavor, and the integrity of the nutrients. So it's better than like a slow freeze in your freezer. So that's one of the big benefits. Of course, ours has the little spout pouch on it and things like that to make it convenient. And the packaging is recyclable. But ultimately, what we're trying to get with this is real food, right? Now, granted, most companies will produce a powder, and we're actually working on some stuff along those lines as well, just for convenience. People do want to have access to it. We try to make this as convenient as we can. But for me, if I had the option, I'll always choose real food with real ingredients over anything that's sort of processed.
Absolutely. And will you get the same benefits from a powder? Like, because you're cooking it down, you're processing it a lot more. Like, will you still be getting the amino acids, the all of those good benefits with a powder?
Sort of. So not quite, but you'll get a much more concentrated version of those specific nutrients, right? So you're getting like pure collagen and amino acids, for example. What you're not getting is some of the other stuff that comes with sort of what all the vegetables that goes into ours and the spices, and so there's a lot of nutrient value in those extra ingredients as well that go into the bone broth. So it is a little bit more of a well-rounded, more robust sort of collection of nutrients. But what do you think about the powders? That's probably accurate, hey?
Yeah, and I'd say the bioavailability may be compromised as well when you're powdering a product, just like when you're doing that with anything else or taking a supplement, you're removing it from what nature intended, right? And so your body doesn't always recognize that as maybe food or as absorbable, so your body may not absorb it as quickly or as effectively. And then when your body actually wants to get those nutrients into the cells, because getting it into the bloodstream is only the first step, then you have to get it to the brain or the heart or wherever you want it. So getting it into the cells, it has to bind to receptors, it has to be recognizable. It can't be bound up to other things if it's dehydrated, or again, if there's any kind of chemical or synthetic or natural that's used in that drying process, then of course that will skew how the body perceives what you're taking in. So
cool. There's a lot of really cool, exciting things there. In terms of just like, I didn't know that you could get a blood test and get all of your food sensitivities checked out like that. That's something I definitely want to do, like tomorrow. So this 21-day Kickstart, I'm super excited about it. We've only touched in just like, there's so much more to talk about in terms of like gut health and like brain health and how it relates to overall health. And I guess in terms of this year and what you guys, what's in store for you guys in 2021? I know 2020 was a little bit different for everybody.
That's a good question. So how about this? Because I was going to ask you that. So why don't you tell me first what your plan is for this year, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do this year.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So this year, I think last year definitely pushed me to a different space. More like I didn't do any private dinners. I didn't do any events. Where we met at an event. I didn't do any pop-up dinners. So there was that whole human element of my job that all of a sudden was gone. So what I did was very similar to what we're doing now, was just having real honest conversations with people who love what they do. So I'm just looking to do more of that. I've kind of dived down into what I was doing before my car accident and what I was doing after my car accident. So I'm kind of like combining my love and my creativity for media and what I'm doing with food and spreading the message and connecting with more people like yourselves. It's a very simple thing this year, just connecting to Canadians, but doing it in a more meaningful way that's going to impact and help rebuild what we've lost in 2020.
I have to say, like, I've been following you for a long time, and I think the thing the reason I wanted to do this with you today is just I feel so connected to the way you are connected to your people, right? Your followers. Like you're so passionate about cooking and food, but also health. And it comes from your experiences. But I think that's just so inspiring. And I remember you wrote something that was like, cooking to you is like meditation. I think that's awesome. And I'm not a cook. Jen is an unbelievable cook. So I don't necessarily I understand intellectually, but I don't feel that way for me because I'm terrible. But I just love I just feel like you're so inspiring, and we're really lucky to be connected with you today. Honestly, we were so excited.
Oh, I'm super excited, and thank you for sharing your time with me. Like I know you guys are super busy, so yeah, I'm looking forward to what you guys have in store.
Well, let's see. We're definitely so. Yeah,
Where
so
to begin?
there is a baby bump here that you probably,
Right?
but
Congrats.
we're literally due in like a month. So
Oh my God.
we've been just kind of preparing for that, which I mean is a whole other. We could do an hour just about that. We wouldn't, but but as far as bone broth goes, I mean, we're really trying to expand our distribution now. Like we're pretty much in almost every province now and territory. We're just working on expanding and trying to get into all the, we want to be in pretty much every health food store in the country. That's kind of our goal. But we also have some innovation. So we're going to be launching some new products that we're really excited about. Just trying to diversify a little bit. And frozen is although it's our flagship and it's our favorite, it's still a challenge for distribution. We've had so many requests from Europe and Asia, and of course in the States as well for our products. And so we're trying to create some alternatives so that we can get stuff out around the world. Obviously, yeah, we're used to doing events. Jen's normally traveling, multiple weeks per year, traveling around the country doing lectures and talking. We haven't been doing any of that. Fingers crossed, yeah. We really want to get into some of that stuff. And then, yeah, as far as, at our wellness center in Kelowna, we're looking to expand, maybe do another location. So it's actually going to be a pretty big year. None of that might happen because of the baby. So I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. I think like if anything that 2020 taught us, just like make the best of what we have, right? Like be grateful for everything that we do have and make the best of it. Especially when you have to live in it for extended periods of time.
Totally. I do have one question.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like I said, I've been following you for a while, but what is it like? I know the car accident was like pretty pivotal for you. Obviously, it comes up for you in your stuff a lot. But like, what we're doing today, what made you want to, what made you want to do this? Like, is this just your way of connecting with more people, or what is it that drives you?
I think doing it live is definitely. I personally like why I do what I do is it's always because of the people, and I've loved. I think like just throw it back to my last conversation, to my last live last year with Thompson Tran, who you met on Okanagan Eats as well. His whole thing was hospitality, and that's exactly what I think when you're a chef or anyone in the service industry, you're just happy helping others. So for me, there's never been more meaning in connecting with others, especially when you have a platform to do so. And I think last year I was in a position where I could help businesses. I could help, companies, sometimes to stay afloat, to make a few more sales, to make sure that they, stayed alive that month. So I took that and I saw the benefits of how I could help others with just being an honest human being. And I think we need more of that. And why not, spread that on social media instead of, just like a beautiful selfie of myself or something or whatever, or whatever,
Totally.
I think, just seeing like the meet what you eat is my whole theme for this year. And I'm excited to make sure that Canadians meet their food industry and get excited about the people who are feeding them. So that's my whole mandate.
Awesome.
That was perfect.
You guys, thank you so much, and congratulations on the baby. I can't wait to follow you guys along, and I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll be talking.
Well, we want to check in with you and see how this 21-day thing's going.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing, because I would love a 21, like before the 21 days is up, like a kind of a catch up, and maybe when I'm on my 600 calorie day, I'll leave some of the sanity back. All right. Cheers, you guys. Thank you so much for an incredible day.
Thank you very much, Matt.
All right. Take care.
You too.